Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hey, Marco, I can add you to the doc directly if the group isn't working for you.
Yeah, I would be much appreciated if possible. Many thanks.
Yeah, what's your email address?
I will drop a message.
Okay, done. Yeah, thanks
Thank you.
everybody for joining. If you're just joining, reminder to open up the meeting notes. I just pasted the link again in chat and it's on the meeting invite. Go ahead and add yourself as an attendee. Yeah, Amir let me know he's not able to make it today. He's, I think he's traveling and under the weather, unfortunately. So we'll send best wishes to Amir. Hope he gets better soon. Yeah, I was sick last meeting, and so actually I haven't been. If anybody wants to remind what happened, I do. Although I do see the notes. You know, if we want to pick up where we left off, feel free to jump in. All right, so yeah, it's about 5 after, so we'll go ahead and get started. Any new faces? Anybody here that has been a while or is new and want to introduce yourself? Please go ahead.
Hey, Jeff Warwick with IBM. It's been a while, but I'm also a little under the weather, but I'll be happy to be on the call. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome back, Jeff. Anyone else? All right, so light on agenda items today. I did notice that this meeting, I think, is supposed to be our afternoon meeting based on what we decided and approved as a group. So it seems like the alternating isn't working. So I'm going to talk to Jory or whoever else at on the staff that can help us make sure that our invites are correct. For those of you who forgot, we do want to alternate this meeting time to be early for EMEA folks and then late for APAC folks, so that we can get everybody to join. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what's going on there, but I'll follow up. And I don't see anything next, but I did see on the previous meeting that there was continued discussion on the charter and that there was a voice vote. Anybody was there? Jacques, do you remember?
Sorry for the slow response. Let me just have a look at it to refresh my memory. Right, I think the idea was that we would hold a voice vote if we were satisfied with the charter. And then that we would follow that with approvals on the PR. So we had a written record basically, something we could point back to. It's a thing I've seen done in a couple of groups.
Okay, and that didn't take place. The voice.
No,
vote
I think
didn't
no, I think the idea was to hold off until this week, because if I remember correctly, there were going to be some edits made to the charter. Basically, that glitchy bit I can't remember the name of. There's one where it sort of says that the
Mhm.
group sends a representative to TAC. It's just like that's not how TAC works.
Yeah.
So I think that was the amendment that was necessary. But I don't think we have enough folks today to really
Yeah.
justify doing that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the commits on the PR. The last one I see was from the 25th of last month. So I didn't see any updates there. And I don't see
Okay.
Jay on the call who was helping with this.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems like we'll just continue putting this off.
Sure. I think we need to kick this can just a little further down the road.
Okay. So make a note here.
You want to be super fancy, the magic word is in court.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, let me show you. I'll type it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's better the way you had it. People know what it means.
All right. So any other topics here? Updates on, I saw there's a discussion last week on quarterly releases, things like that.
Yeah, the thing there was like as we develop a list in various methods, one of the things that came up was, you know, if the list sort of changes dynamically or day by day, that will be difficult for a lot of people to consume, and that doing it quarterly, you know, like additions like spring 23 would be easier for large organizations to ingest and work with. But I see Randall has his hand up.
Yeah, Randall.
Yeah, I think we also had to organize, we were gonna have like a side meeting about with Caleb, and I think we wanted that to be this meeting, if I remember now correctly, because we wanted to have a conversation on how they are developing criticality scores, because that tool has the functionality to basically get a list and run criticality scores on that entire list. So I think the conversation was, if we were going to put that list together, how would that work out? And how would we go about putting that list together? And I think the next steps there were to hold a side discussion or take over one of these meetings that would happen in the afternoon, so that Caleb would be there, because it's kind of difficult for Caleb to be at these morning meetings. So.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I see the to-do focus session. Sounds good. So what should we do about that? Do we want to take over the next meeting and set it up now?
I mean, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it too.
Yeah, just as long as Caleb knows.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put it here in the doc. So next meeting will be October 6th.
Yep.
Oops. And what do we want to call this topic?
Selection of critical projects, or
But specifically, what do we want? What do we? What do we want to get from
that's
Caleb?
really what it is. That's really like, it's basically like the discussion of how said list would work and how would we add to this list, because the way they have the tool, because basically originally when we were speccing all of this out, they had a Python tool which has been deprecated. So now they have a new tool, and it's kind of based around the concept of you feeding it a list. So that's basically where we're at right now. Is so what would this list be? How would we come up with that list? How would we put names on this list? How do we take names off of this list? That sort of thing.
So I'll
And I think a big point of discussion also was that the criticality score gives like a tangible number. And there was discussion on whether or not that tangible number would incentivate or like the wrong ideology, because this is not a ranking system. This is supposed to be a set of projects. So
okay, so I put an agenda item for next meeting. And I'm pinged Caleb there, making sure that he can join, and then I'll make sure it's at the right time for that next one. And so I guess we'll do 2 at this time, and then next one will be late, and then we'll continue on with the alternating plan. So assuming Caleb can make that one, then we can have the meeting then. If he can't, or if we do want to have a separate focused session, is anybody interested in scheduling that?
I'm a little unsure as to whether we need another session.
Okay. Assuming that the meeting doesn't work, but you're saying we should try to make the meeting work.
I guess I'll go back a step. I don't understand what this additional meeting would be for.
mainly interfacing with criticality score, I would say. So they kind of, because there's a little bit of divergence of what our goal is and where criticality score has gone, is kind of what we discovered last meeting. So there needs to kind of be like a group meeting between everyone and figure out where we're at and where they're at. And yeah, because I mean, a lot of people love their tool and it's a great tool. It's just like what we're trying to do here is not exactly what they're trying to do over there. So yeah.
Sure. I'd say 2 things. One as a nitpick is that they're under our oversight, so it's really us. But the other one is more to the point, like I'm more curious about the necessity for a specific standalone meeting if the scheduling works next time and we have Caleb on.
Okay.
So that's what I was hoping to understand is whether we needed an additional meeting. I'm sure that like everybody, my calendar has many blobs that say meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I just saw focused session there, and so I don't know if that's
just if I guess more people wanted to be there, because I know that there are a few people on criticality that have different.
Yeah, as long as we publicize it or surface that information, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
And definitely we want Caleb to be there since he's been the driving factor for criticality. I believe he now has another person working with him as well in Sydney. So definitely worth joining the dots. I'm just loosely against having a specific standalone meeting separate from this regular one. So long as the times alternate as we originally planned.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think using this meeting for focused work and not saying that focused work has to happen outside is good. All right. Any other updates there, or are we really blocked on this point?
I feel like we're blocked.
Yeah, I'm with Jock.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't see anything else. Any other topics adjacent or related?
No, just a quick note. I'm still idle in tasks regarding this group. So if any of you want any help, anything, please let me know. I'm happy to jump in and collaborate with you.
Awesome. Randall, are we at any point on the ingestion engine like coding or
No, we're kind of on hold on that because we wanted to know what criticality score has. And I think there was a couple other people that had interest in working together on all that. So hopefully we can gather them all to the meeting. So, because we were kind of, what happened last time at the meeting is that once we hit this topic, it kind of took over the whole meeting because there was a
Yeah.
lot of insight on like how, what, like, yeah. So I think we're pretty much on hold on that until we can get a consensus of like how would we go about the list. So
yeah, I feel like or I ask this every time, I'm sorry, but like, do we want to put a should we more formalize or the ingestion engine as a kind of a code project by making links in the working group README and or putting it in a OpenSSF repo so that we can kind of have more visibility for people. that wanna
what
help
I
out?
have on my side, so you guys know, is basically we've been working on collecting things like weekly downloads if that's available. Then when the last commit was made, when the last release was made, how many contributors does the project have? Basic stuff like that. That's what we're focused on. And I think that there's I said some overlap, but yeah, I have no problem formalizing that and putting it in OpenSSF repo. As I said, it's just a matter of kind of figuring out what we want to do and what we already have.
Any thoughts there, like yes or no? Is it too early or would it be beneficial from anybody else?
I think it's something we're working on. There's nothing wrong with putting it in the repo. Change is cheap
It's true.
when it comes to documents.
Okay, sounds good. I'll go ahead and take that action item.
Yeah, well, I had a talk with Amir, I think 3 weeks ago, about the ingestion form on the Google Forms. I don't know if that would be used. I was trying to explore ways to automate the data extraction from the Google Forms. So I don't know if that's still a valid path or if you want to wait to proceed on that.
I think the outlook last time was that there's a lot of people that like live on GitHub, which is what makes the GitHub route attractive. And I think that GitHub does have a way. There's different ways. We're still exploring this, but I know there's ways of like running diffs to extract information, especially like on markdown documents and how you can go about extracting information and like processing that information. That's kind of what we were thinking about doing with the ingestion engine, was like having someone just make a PR with like a new line with like the project they want to add. We'd run a diff, we'd get that, and then we'd run it through some script that could pull back all of these different data points that are supposed to be more of like quantitative data points as opposed to judging things like security and stuff like that. So I think that was the intention of moving it to GitHub, was just because everything already is on GitHub. So
Yeah, I do agree. It seems easy. What we do on Shin community for Shin signing, it's not automated, but it's exactly that. So if you want to sign a new Shin, you send a PR to Shin GitHub, and people that have access to to check out the signing request, do that via GitHub. It makes things easier. So I think probably the same model here can apply perfectly.
Right. Exactly. And I know part of the conversation that we need to have is what about if you're not on GitHub? Because that came up last time too. So yeah. There's lots of parts of this where it gets very complicated very fast.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think for starting we should think about the most common case,
Mhm.
so we don't get trapped in a rabbit hole, and
Right.
then we
And I
work
think the
with-
most common case, most people at least have like a GitHub mirror in most cases. So
yeah, unless someone is against GitHub and uses GitLab, but I think we can try to work that out later. I don't think that would be
that's
much
actually,
different.
if you want to take this down, Jeff, that was actually a big talking point with Caleb, because it was, can we use GitLab with criticality score? That was one of the questions for Caleb from last time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also know there's other like people that have private repositories and stuff like that. And that was also a question. And yeah.
Well, I mean, for one thing, the whole universe of GNU software or GNU software is living in its own infrastructure.
Right.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I'll get that repo set up, and Randall will get you access to it. And then we can have more people when they come and say, where can I help? Hopefully we can have things like issues and stuff there for if they want to help with building the scripts or the coding. They can just jump in and say, I know how to query this package manager for downloads or whatever, and add that for us so that we can have some more group effort here. Cool. Anything else here? All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and dismiss if nobody has anything else to talk about. Sorry again for the time. Should have realized that ahead of time. I'll get that set up, and make sure that we have again this topic with Caleb for next meeting, so that we can get unblocked on these questions and these situations that we have for the ingestion. Yeah, if anybody have anything to add before we go? Nope. All right, well, again, thanks everybody for showing up, and hope to see you all on Slack and in that next meeting. Bye.
Thank you, baby.